Aloha, I'm Jo Jordan, and welcome to Jordan's Journal. Today we have another installment. We'll be talking with Kamuela Enos from Ma'o Farms. So our discussion will revolve around that today, and welcome.
Aloha, Jo. Thank you for having me here.
Aloha, Kamu. So a little bit about who you are and how you got involved with Ma'o.
Sure. My name is Kamuela Enos. I'm born and raised in Makaha, the son of Eric and Rochelle Enos. My dad is one of the founding members of Kaala Farms.
Yes.
We started Lo'ikalo up in Waianae Valley and brought the water back down in the early 70s as a way to try to reclaim not just their identity, but more importantly, their responsibility to understanding the systems that our ancestors had developed that allowed us to feed ourselves for many generations. So, born in Waianae, kind of say I have three parents. My dad, my mom, and Kaala Farms, because he really brought me there and made me work there since I can't remember a time when in my life where I wasn't at Kaala. That's it formed basically who I am. Went through public schools, kind of did my thing, didn't really make it through, got my GED, and eventually went back and got my bachelor's in Hawaiian Studies and my master's in Urban and Regional Planning from UH Manoa. So now I'm currently at Ma'o Organic Farms as a director of social enterprise. I've been there for 4 years now.
Wow. Wow.
Long and winding road.
No, it's a process, it's evolving.
Yeah.
I think that's great. So at Ma'o, what do you actually do for them, and what is Ma'o Organic Farms?
Yeah, I think that's a good segue. I think what Ma'o is kind of a complex and important thing to articulate. Ma'o is a social enterprise, which is a not-for-profit that's designed to generate revenue. It's going to be 11 years old this year. The founders of Ma'o are a husband and wife team, Gary and Kukui, Mauna Kea Fourth. And 11, 12 years ago, they had a vision to really to really push at economic development in our community in a way that was true to the identity of Waianae. Both our traditional heritage as people who work the land, and this notion that we're a rural community. We still self-identify as being rural. So why call yourself rural if you're not actively farming?
Yes, that's true.
So with those, with those intentions, they created a program which is initially designed to have develop young farmers. And as the program progressed, they realized that actually it's really hard to develop farmers in this political climate in Hawaii.
It is.
And socioeconomic climate as well, because costs of land, ideas of food production farmers, farming for local consumption, and there's a point of distinction.
Yeah.
That an inability to get loans out to farmers. They want to grow food and a whole range of things. And they've decided to shift the focus to not just creating farmers, but in this generation, the need to create leaders in the food movement that would eventually begin to create that space where farming for food for local consumption was seen as a viable economic and not just paid lip service to. I think that change is kind of where we are now. Currently, as a social enterprise, that's designed not just to farm and so forth, but to really create these youth leaders and to show the viability of organic farming concurrently to create systemic change in our not only in our community but in our state. So we then have set ourselves up as a nonprofit, which allows us to be mission driven, but also to generate revenue. So in real general terms, the enterprise side of our program, our social enterprise, is a 24-acre, fully certified organic farm. We grow 35 to 45 different varieties of produce on the farm. Cooking greens, salad greens, root crops, fruits, and herbs. Wow. And I think we sell to primarily to chefs, some of the top chefs in the state and therefore the nation. Buy our produce. Ed Kenny from Town Restaurant, #1 supporter. Lindsay Ozawa and the crew at V Lounge, they're strong supporters. And you have like the old guard like Roy's, you have Chef Mavro, you have Chef Alan Wong. They all buy our produce. We sell to retail spaces like Whole Foods, Down to Earth, Foodland, which has come on a real strong supporter of our program, and we sell to direct sales to customers, farmers markets and subscription boxes. We're clearing about we're doing about $12,000, $13,000 a week in sales.
Wow.
And just to note, to grow food in Hawaii and to grow food in Waianae is a social mission. I mean, it's a political act. Our community often, but outside forces, growing food in the community isn't consistent with or considered the highest and best use of our land.
No.
I mean, if you drive along the coast of Waianae, you see this is where all the dumps are.
Yeah.
This where and
exactly.
That's kind of where our community has been relegated to, in a lot of the thinking of the political thinking by outside forces dictating what should be going on in our community. So to actually be growing food in our own community for local consumption in of itself is a social and political act. That being said, the social side, though, the unique part of our program, and we're finding it's not just unique in Hawaii, but it's unique nationally and internationally, is that the day-to-day operations are run by college interns. We have an internship called the Youth Leadership Training, the YLT. The prerequisites to join this internship is you have to be age 17 to 24, have graduated from high school, and live on the Waianae coast. You get in, there's a rigorous process to get in, but once you get in, the expectation is that you're going to sign a contract to be with us for 3 years. You get in, and once you sign that contract, it means you're going to work on the farm 20 hours a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, beginning at 7 and finishing around noon, and then a revolving Saturday, where you'll either work on the farm or do the farmer's market. In exchange for that sweat equity, we provide a full tuition waiver to Leeward Community College.
Wow.
Starting monthly stipend of $500. After the first year of commitment, you've shown that you really want to be in the program. We also open a bank account where we match 2 to 1 whatever the interns save, with match monies having to go towards education. We ask for a 3-year commitment because we get them through and their associates. So we graduate them with their associates. And aside from just getting their associates, we have designed a certificate that really starts to, the name of the internship is the Youth Leadership Training, not farming. Leadership. So how we really, and there's different ways. One of the core ways that we really surface that leadership and provide them the tools to be those leaders is through a certificate we've created. It's a certificate in community food security that we've designed the classes for, and we'll pay a teacher to teach, and it's housed in Leeward, and the Leeward will actually provide the certificate. So the classes are Intro to Organic Farming, Intro to Business Management, Intro to Global Food Systems, and a capstone project. The final paper will be this directed reading course where they have to pull in everything they've learned and then write a directed, and then write like a white paper articulating a solution for some problems they see in their community. And we've had some wonderful papers that have come through. Currently, we're sending 37 kids from Waianae to college as organic farmers. Most of them are the first in their family to go to college. Many of them come from families that face severe economic challenges. As of last semester, we graduated 9 with their associates. And because they're being so successful, we're building the program as they grow with us. We created new internships, which are basically co-manager positions, where we give them an annual salary If it's a full-time, if they come on in the full-time package, it's a competitive, very competitive salary with benefits, as well as a full tuition waiver to UH Manoa. So they have to work full-time on the farm and then go to school full-time to get their baccalaureate. And they basically become, in essence, quasi-staff co-managers.
Wow.
And they run the farm as well as building positions within the office, where they, some of them are also like in our executive director in training type of program, where they work with the executive director and get those skills. So, you know, we are really growing our cohorts out strong, and you know, we're not just limited to the college piece. We have a garden at Waianae High School and a garden at Waianae Intermediate. The garden at Waianae High School, to my knowledge, is the only organically certified garden on DOE grounds.
Wow.
And they're replicating the internships there and there. It's kind of like popcorn or football. You play Makahali'is, you expect the Waianae Tigers, you're going to expect to play starting a Sea Rider.
Yeah.
So creating that, what we're trying to do is to create this way, not just a pipeline, but like a culture of college, where you can start, you know, at a really early age, and to see yourself already going to school, to see your elder siblings going to school. And I think that's really how we're trying to affect the change that we want to see in our community. We're pushing the leadership down to the internship level.
Yeah.
As of right now, the interns run the day-to-day operation of the farm.
Oh, so like peer-to-peer.
Yeah, they you know, there's 3 levels. You know, you come in your first year, you're expected to learn everything about the day-to-day operations. And I think that it's kind of like there's the leadership that we're trying to develop is really specific. Call it Kuleana-based leadership, and we've programmatized that into our system. Your first year, you come in, you're expected to learn the Kuleana to yourself, to see yourself as an asset, to ask the question, why should I go to college instead of just taking this $12 an hour job, like Campbell's maybe, and stay at that for the rest of my life? Why should I actually invest this time
into myself? Yeah.
So that's the first, you know, while they're wrestling with that question, we also, you know, and their peers are helping them answer that. They're expected to learn every single aspect of the farm. So they learn, we don't just have them come in and all you ever do is just weed, or all you ever do is wash. The interns that come in will learn every single aspect of the farm, from helping to prepare the soil, to putting the irrigation, to planting, to maintaining, to washing, to harvesting, washing, cleaning, packing, and so you will have an opportunity to learn every aspect of the operation. And I think it's setting up this sense of reciprocity. While they're learning about the importance of investing in themselves, they're also learning about giving back to the organization that's helping them, you know, see themselves as an asset. So like, it's not just the sense of entitlement. It's a sense of like, I have to earn. I'm learning, and my awareness of like seeing myself as an asset means that I also have to contribute if I'm an asset.
Yeah, I have to be part of it.
You can't be an asset in isolation.
Yeah.
You're just an asset. I think that that's captured in the first year. In the second year then is once they've got their heads around, okay, you make it through the first year of college, I believe you have the skills to get your PhD. I mean, you've crossed that bridge. You've done something that 90% of your peers in Waianae have not done. And that's a sad, I mean,
that's
that's
it is.
around a ballpark figure. The second year, when you're in, you really realize that. Then you start to teach the Kuleana to the people that it can directly affect, their peers and their family. And what we do, we offer then positions for them to manage a team of 5. New students coming in to make sure that they're learning every single aspect of the farm, as well as helping them navigate their first year in college. And if you can teach a group of 5 kids to do that, you can teach your peers to do that.
That's right.
You can teach your family to do that.
So leadership.
And then the third year, when they're about ready to transition out of the program and finish their associates and go down to their baccalaureate, we're teaching them their responsibility to this kind of abstracted notion of community. People that you may never see, but you're responsible to. And that can, the very least of it is their living community, but we're telling them the future generations that what you do now, you will affect. You may not
affect
see them, you
yeah.
may not know them, but
Yeah.
you're doing work now because ancestors before you laid the ground for you to be here. And this is how you thank them. And we then offer these positions for them to run at that age, I mean at that level of the internship, the third year, to run an entire portion of the farm, the packing, the harvesting. So they have to manage several teams under them. And this is all cultural progress of Kuleana, but also in the Western kind of paradigm, this translates to at the age of 20, you have real life managerial skills
Yeah.
on one of the largest organic farms on the island, having to be accountable and making sure that what gets shipped out to all of these chefs, to these discerning community members, and to these retail spaces is quality that you want to stamp your name on, while maintaining a 2.0 in college and preparing yourself to go on. And I think that that's really key. We take the college piece very seriously. We've embedded a lot of sticks and carrots into the program. If you fail a class, you pay us back.
Wow.
If you fall under a 2.0 and you get an academic probation, we release you from the program. But we've committed a farm staff whose entire job is to make sure that they're getting the support they need. Not to do it for them, but being empowered to learn how to navigate the academic system, to learn how to use the resources and to provide for them. And that's what it's really creating this strong culture that youth are now empowered to lead, but they've really broken out of that. And poverty is an attitude.
Yeah.
And poverty is a mindset. And poverty is learned behavior. And I think that the way you break poverty is not to enable it, but not to blame the poor either.
No.
And I think you have to look at the systems that are around them that either are held within their community or foisted upon them from outsiders that allow poverty to continue to exist. And the key thing that we do, and I think that it's core to a lot of the really vibrant organizations in our community like Sea Rider, is we tell them, you are an asset, you are responsible, and you are fundamental to the operation of this program. You're not just coming in and we're checking a mark off and we have you do busy work and we check a mark off and they say, well, we're getting funding because these kids stayed here for this period of time. No, it's like if you don't show up, our business model, if a bunch of 17 to 22-year-olds don't show up 52 weeks a year, then 3 times a week,
you're not going to be able to operate.
and do this, the whole program will collapse.
That's right.
And it's because we're community members, the problem sometimes we see with outsiders trying to solve a community problem is they only see the community from its deficits. Because I dropped out of high school and had to work full-time to go to college, and to earn these degrees, I know it's doable.
Yeah.
And I know that kids in our community can do the same thing. So we're not sympathetic, we're empathetic.
Yeah.
And we create programs where you're an asset, and we're going to demand everything we can. I mean, everything that we demanded of ourselves, we're going to demand of you. And we know that you can do it. And when kids realize that, or young adults realize that, young adults from Y&I are nothing if not savvy.
Yeah.
And they know when systems they're participating in, because I was that kid, you're participating in a system that defines you by your deficit, you're going to act up and live up to that, and you're not going to participate. But when you step into a place where people are telling you, we expect the best of you, then they bang out. And I think that would be the difference between dropping out of Y&I high school but staying on to play football.
Yeah.
The demands is you have a tradition of excellence you have to uphold, and you'll live up to it. And I think that we're trying to capture those things and repurpose them in a real meaningful way. And I think that there are 3 things I believe our program is rooted in. Is first, we're a modern iteration of a traditional practice. We do organic farming because that's where the emerging market's going to come.
Yeah.
But we do organic farming is because our ancestors were organic farmers. Their focus was not on the short-term yield of the crop at the expense of the soil. I mean, you look at the legacy of some of these industrial models I live with now in places where years of inundating the soil with these types of chemicals has really messed with the water table. So in organic farming, the emphasis is not on the crop as much as the soil. The emphasis is the legacy piece that's left by the soil, and that's long-term economic forecasting to ensure you're managing your assets properly.
Yes.
So like that's the first thing. And then when you understand that your ancestors knew this, it moves your culture, it moves your heritage from just being, oh, this culture that's cute, and repositions it like that was a science and technology.
Total science, yes.
That you can, therefore your chants have new meaning. All these different things now have a new meaning, and therefore it will, learning your culture is like the dichotomy, either you're going to practice your culture, you're going to make money, is removed, and it's going to be, by understanding, truly understanding your culture, it will give you an advantage, a competitive advantage on the marketplace. So that rooting it in tradition. The second thing that our program is doing is creating a pathway to education for a community of learners that learns primarily with their hands, learns working in groups, and working on projects. If you learn that way primarily in the DOE, you're special ed.
Yes.
And they'll treat you. And I think the thing about it is that that's how practitioners learned.
All hands-on.
You know, you didn't go and you didn't raise your hand and uncle this is like, you know, it was like, it's like watch. And then do. And when you tell a kid that they're special ed for learning that way, it's not just then a slight against them. It's a slight against their family and a slight against their culture. So by creating, we're calling this edupreneur space, enterprise and entrepreneurial put together, and having immersive applied learning spaces like an organic farm. They learn their math, and doing the numbers. They learn their science around the soil. Have them market the stuff, they learn their English. To have them understand why more people aren't farming in Hawaii, they're going to learn their political science. And they're going to learn their Hawaiian studies. But they're not just learning it here. They're learning it in an applied space. So it really, we call them pracademics, you know, calluses on your hands and your brains. They become really, really like deep, vibrant, soulful learners and highly employable. And, you know, being more and more able to go to college. So that's the second thing we're trying to do, is create the edupreneurial space that honors these types of learners and then empowers, honors ways that practitioners learn as a meaningful and important way to learn, affirms it, and then provides them the skills to go out and learn in these more abstract settings. Like, you know, you can go in a classroom now and feel confident to take these tests and to do the song and dance. But, you know, you can also apply these things, which gives them a leap ahead. And the third thing we're trying to do is, it's really important to note that you can't just educate young adults and not build the industries, because what you're going to do is create diaspora. And, you know, they're going to be the best educated kid in the Pacific Northwest working now. So we're trying to concurrently build the industries that are going to be back at home for them to come back in, loop back in, and to work in. You know, if we're designed as a nonprofit, it's the same way that you would put together an organization, fund organizations to create industries. You know, we really are trying not just to exist within the system that was given us, because the system won't work. We're designed to change systems, not by telling people what they're doing is morally wrong, but by showing the viability, the account, like showing the data, generating the revenue to show that this is viable, and, you know, and really competing in a marketplace of ideas where accountability, you know, your accountability is not just the moral compass you've assigned to your program, but is this a viable option? Because you know, the naysayers are legion. That's fine. I mean, that's part of being an entrepreneur. You know, you wilt under those types of pressures and you're in the wrong field. So our job is to show that it works. And I think what we really understand, and the key factor to why this is so important, is that we import 85% of everything we eat. And those imports are coming on the back of a non-renewable resource like oil. Two things you can't argue. Oil is going to run out.
It is.
And, you know, my dad says you don't fix your roof when it's raining. You know, you have to understand that it's starting to hit now. And as oil costs increase, it's not the price at the pump that's going to be the issue. It's going to be the price at the checkout counter.
That's exactly right.
And if the people that are going to be hit first by that rising costs in food are going to be the people that occupy the lowest rung of the socioeconomic ladder,
That's right.
our community.
Yeah, community.
So that's one thing. It'd be hard pressed to have people tell you, oh no, oil is always going to be here. And we're going to really quickly build the technology that will allow us to import everything in. And then
It's going to be a failing situation.
I'll buy a bridge
Yeah.
first before I listen. But I say that's one truth I put out there to have people contest. But the other truth, not just to take the deficit, but the asset part of it, is our ancestors lived on these islands for at least 2,000 years with no imports.
Yeah, with none.
And when the discoverers, the explorers, really got to Hawaii, they didn't find a bunch of people that were suffering from morbid obesity.
No,
They were
didn't.
trashing their land. And they're fit. I'm not going to romanticize every part of it, but the parts I'm going to speak to are the parts that we're currently trying to figure out. How do you better health in your community?
Yeah.
How do you better employment in your community? How do you better our economic sustainability and our environmental sustainability? I think these things, systems were in place that ensured generations could continue to live and grow and be healthy. So I think that was those coming emerging contexts are kind of like what we're trying to do now to prepare ourselves for it. And I think, the last thing I want to say is I think this dysfunction we see in our community is recent and learned behavior. We couldn't have been as dysfunctional as we are now to be able to create what we did then.
Yeah.
And the point of disconnect is when you remove us from our context of being connected to the land. So we're trying to really reestablish that context of connectivity in a market economy, in a standards-based education system, and leading with assets.
I'd like to thank you very much, Kamu. Kind of like ran out of time, but thank you very much.
Mahalo.
Oh, you could talk all day about this. Thank you for joining us, and I appreciate Kamu coming and sharing with us. Mahalo.